Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beat in the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the two big matches which took place over the weekend. Man City and Liverpool drawing 1-1, and Aston Villa running away winners over Spurs. Now, joining me this evening to review these two matches and to talk some football, we have returning to the platform, Christophe.
Good to be back.
We also have returning Sir Cole.
Yeah, man. Good night. Always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed, subscribers. We're back to some football action after the international break, and some very interesting results took place over the weekend. So let's jump straight into it. Spurs versus Aston Villa. It seemed as if Spurs' Sir Cole has run out of steam. Early lead and now faltering by the wayside. How do you see that one?
But I don't know why you seem surprised by this. I told you earlier that once Son or Madison, one of the two go out, then that will be the end of the road. Mind you, they have some issues in defense as well. They lost of Romero. They have lost Udogi for a while as well. Three losses on the bounce and still just a fourth. It's going downhill.
Yeah, definitely a downhill spiral. That game versus Chelsea, that seemed to be the turning point in the season thus far. Injuries and suspensions, a combination of both, and it's been bad results since then. Still creating a few chances. Son, for example, got three trick-off goals ruled off versus what you could say is a really vibrant Aston Villa team, scoring goals, but also conceding a few, but definitely racking up some results and climbing up in the table. So, Christophe, how did you see that one? Aston Villa really looking like a team to contend with this season.
So far they look impressive, as we said. I think I agree with Sir Cole that it's a problem, and you as well. It's a combination of those injuries and red cards that they received against Chelsea that has caused them to kind of fall down. Last 3 games in a row. I think that is the reasoning right now for them. It kind of says to me that they don't have a lot of squad depth outside of their first choice 11. So this might become an issue long term into the season. You pick up more injuries. Say, for instance, you pick up injuries for Son and Madison, then what? The season is just done.
Yeah, I mean, definitely squad depth is a factor, but one would hope they could have at least hold out until the January window opens up. But, the results are coming thick and fast, Sir Cole, and it seems as if a slip versus Chelsea is now turning into a slide.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to Spurs with a little bit of luck on their side, probably a 3 inches on their side, and the result would have been different because there were three very marginal offsides. So on another day, they could have rolled out 4-2 winners, but it did not roll their way. So draw blank, and I mean, why it's rough. It's a really rough time, and the coach had his job cut out to bring the team back on track.
Yes,
I
but I
mean,
mean, interestingly, tactically though, Christoph, the Spurs coach seemed to be bringing a similar tactic as he has started the season with. It's just that probably the personnel and the results have somewhat changed. And as Sir Cole mentioned, I mean, marginal decisions, imagine having three goals ruled offside in the same game. It was definitely some marginal calls there, but when you look at the replay, definitely the right calls, and there was really no controversy surrounding any of them. But Stan Villa must be credited for pulling out another result, especially away from home, Christoph. I mean, Emery seemed to be getting it right.
yeah, very good result away from home. Had it been a case where the new offside rule was in effect, all those goals would have counted.
Mm.
So
It seems your former manager Wenger is
Mhm.
trying to rough up the game, so to speak, with
I
these.
I, I personally don't like it. I don't like what they're saying about this new offside rule. I think there will be a lot of goals ruled out because people don't understand the rule or something. But yeah, I think it gives maybe an unfair advantage to attackers
Yeah, I
versus,
mean, it
good
will
defending.
become a bit more clear cut based on my understanding. Pretty much once the attacking player is not completely separated from the defender, then it's onside. He has
Right.
to be a part, and no part of his body should be in line with the defender, is what I'm hearing. And if that is the case, then it would be an offside. But once he is ahead of the defender, but let's say the back of the foot is in line with part of the defender, then play ball. So that rule should definitely open up more goal scoring opportunities.
Personally, I think while I foresee less controversies, I still think we'll have one or two decisions which are still marginal. I don't believe we will escape that. But going back to the Spurs Villa game, I think I heard in the game that Aston Villa is the team that has been credited with the most, I mean, having caught the opponents most offside. So clearly,
Yeah, they've been playing a very high line since the
yeah,
start
so,
of
so,
the
so
season, to be honest.
clearly it is something that they have worked on and probably have gotten it down to the T, as you say. So it's paying the dividends for them, and credits to the coaching staff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you live or die by that high line. And interestingly, while Aston Villa has been pulling out some good results, they are not really keeping a lot of clean sheets. And, credit must go to the attacking players currently, led by the England international, Watkins. I mean, Sir Cole, what is it going to take for Watkins to get a look in on the English team? How many more goals does he need to score?
You may be a bit off with your information because in the last break, he was a player. I believe he started one of the games actually, and Kane came on. So you don't need to look very far. He already is a part of his setup and doing very well actually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's probably the striker that is most likely to, replace a Kane once Kane makes his exit from the national team. He's a younger player for Kane. And, you can see year after year, he's just growing in the role as that out and out number nine, for Aston Villa. And then hopefully he can translate that sort of play into the national team as well. But definitely, I must credit Emery with some really good tactics. He made some very good signings. One of those signings getting on the score sheet as well. Paul Torres, that defender from Spain. And, he is one of those linchpin in the team currently. I believe he has started every game this season in the EPL. And of course, coming off the bench, they really have some game changers and none other than the Jamaican Leon Bailey. I mean, Bailey had a cameo circle, after being seriously criticized on national duties. What say you? What's your take on Bailey as an Aston Villa player and that form into the national team?
Bailey is a player which blows hot or blows cold. He can come on and give you a scintillating 20 minutes as well as come on and give you something that you'd rather forget than really remember. I think that the game on Sunday he actually came on and played well. Added a bit of energy to the team, and I believe he does complement or he does work well in that system. It's just a matter of being consistent in the team, as the coach has highlighted on a number of occasions.
Yes, indeed, but it seemed like Christophe Diaby, that signing has really taken Bailey's and has really relegated Bailey now to the bench, or maybe making a appearance here or there in the Europa Conference League. Is that a sound decision, Christopher? Does Bailey deserve to start currently?
Um, I wouldn't say it deserves to start. Currently, Leon Bailey is not the polished gem, not the finished article as yet. He needs to work on getting his consistency down before he'll be able to retake that spot from Diaby at the moment. But I would say right now Diaby was playing as like a striker or like a second striker, but I think Bailey is probably more comfortable coming in off of the wing versus playing up top. So that might be a factor as well.
Yeah, definitely an interesting perspective there with this new system that Emery has been implementing as well. Players like Magin now playing more of a 4-4-2 rather than your traditional 4-3-3 where you would utilize wingers, much of the attack is now coming through the middle. But Sir Cole, with this impressive start that Aston Villa has made, can it be sustained and can they finish in the top four?
I recall someone on this program some time back gave some kudos to Aston Villa, and it seems that the prediction is paying off, even though it is still fairly early. Basically, a third of the way through. It is looking like it will come up to pass. The person had said, I believe, between fourth or fifth, and that's exactly where they are. I think it is still dicey as to which one they will pick up, but I see them in between fourth and fifth position come the end of the season.
Yes, indeed, Sir Cole. I mean, recollection, it was you who made this bold prediction very early in the season, pretty much highlighting the fact that Aston Villa may become the Newcastle of this season. And as recall, Newcastle finished in the top four last season. And right now, Aston Villa is really punching, I would say, above their weight, ahead of the likes of Manchester United, uh, Chelsea, a couple of the big names, even Newcastle, couple of the big names who may very well miss out on that, Champions League position if, Aston Villa managed to maintain their form and their consistency. But definitely one of the surprise packages of the season thus far. And as I said, both the players and the manager must be given due credit in terms of the start they've made. I am still somewhat concerned about their defensive liability, however. That is my main issue with Aston Villa currently. If they can somewhat manage to plug a few of the gaps defensively while maintaining their attacking threat, then no doubt they should be able, as you say, to finish, within that top six, But defensively, I think they need to tighten up there.
Throughout the summer, somehow I happened to see about 3 or 4 of Aston Villa's preseason games. They're probably the team I saw most during preseason. And every time I saw them attacking wise, it looks superb. I still believe they were probably experimenting with the defense. And I believe the injury to Mings has really affected their defense a lot. I don't think with Mings in the team, they probably would have conceded as much. They have still been getting the results despite not holding the clean sheets. So they're still getting the 3 points. Remember that they lost 5-0 to Newcastle on match day 1. And I'm still rebounded, got the ship steadied and are doing super. I think John McGinn has been super in midfield as well for Aston Villa. And he's kind of being underrated a bit, but I think his inclusion or his presence does make a difference to the Aston Villa attack.
Yeah, I mean, definitely he has bring a bit more balance to the wing play, when compared to the likes, let's say, of a Leon Bailey, for example. A bit more structure, a bit more balance. And as I said, Emery has tweaked the formation as well. And that seemed to have been paying dividend for this Aston Villa team based on the available personnel, because a number of players are also injured, players like Buendia, for example, Ramsey hasn't seen much game time and has been nursing injuries. So maybe it's a case where those injuries have made the decision or the experimentation a bit easier. And, if those players may be available, then, team selection may be a little bit more complicated. But for right now, they seem to be firing on all cylinders. But we'll see how it pans out going forward. But the next big match, the big match everyone is talking about right now, Liverpool holding out for a draw versus Manchester City. Christophe, I'll come to you on this one. 1-1 in that game. How did you see that fixture?
Before the break, I had said I thought Liverpool had enough to beat City, but for a majority of the game, I thought Liverpool looked poor. They lost possession easily. Manchester City controlled the game for most of it. Liverpool counter-attack looked very ineffective. I think they were lucky to come away with the draw.
Some bold statements here out of the blocks, Christophs. I mean, yes, indeed. I mean, Man City playing at home definitely dominated the position. But, if you look at the chances created, possibly Liverpool could have, taken a goal or two. I mean, I recall a superb header from Nunes being saved by Ederson, and I mean, on the run of it, personally, I think a draw was a good result for Liverpool, especially playing away from home. City may be the more disappointing or the more disappointed team, to be honest. But I thought a draw was a
A
fair
fair result.
result. Yeah, Sir Cole, how did you see it though?
A draw may have been a fair result, but if City and their fans feel aggrieved to have come away with that result, then I can understand. I personally wouldn't have this allowed where could have been the shoes of the referee. Wouldn't have disallowed the goal for the defender. What was it again?
Kanji?
No man. The foul and the goalkeeper.
Oh, right. Akanji was holding his hand, but I think Diaz was the one who
Yes,
headed
was the
in.
one who scored. Yes. I personally wouldn't have called that a foul at all. Mind you, it was contact, but minimal contact. I wouldn't have. I would have.
Yeah, but I mean, once your hands are on the keeper circle, that's an easy decision for the referee. I
No,
mean,
I think it's
needing the ability to catch the ball.
most times they want to err on the side of caution and give a decision, but it really is a touch as opposed to a deliberate attempt to restrict the movement of the player. I personally would have allowed it. I don't think
Well,
had the referee allowed the goal, I don't think VAR would have gone against that decision either.
yeah, I mean, an interesting decision, but personally, I thought it was the right decision. To me, once you're impeding the goalkeeper by the fact that Akanji did have his hand on Alisson's shoulder, as was seen in subsequent replay, I thought the referee made a good decision on that one. But as you say, simply marginal. But I thought at the end of the day, it was the
Well,
right decision.
with the where Joe Linton had two hands in the back of Real, I was still
Yeah, I mean, at
so
the end of the day, these are some subjective calls. I mean, that's why the referee is still in the middle, and it's not the game is hasn't reached the point where it's being refereed by AI. That may
probably.
very well be the direction we're headed in. But until we get there, I mean, we still have to agree to disagree with the subjectivity and the interpretation by the man in the middle. And I mean, outside of that decision, I don't think it was controversy. I mean, as you can see, the
True.
City players really did not put up any great amount of protests per se, and they just got on with the game. But it was definitely an interesting match, especially from a tactical point of view. One of the key talking points I would say would have been the matchup between Trent and Doku, Christoph. I mean, Doku is one of those players you were hyping up before the game. How did you see that matchup?
Was I hyping up Doku? I mean, I think Doku looked impressive in his earlier outings, but when you're coming up against, a big team versus a big team, you're not going to expect the same type of performance that you would get facing, uh, Sheffield United or something like that. You're playing elite defender against, I don't know if he's an elite attacker as yet, but a very good attacker. So, um, I would have seen where I would give the edge to the defender, but Doku being young and hungry, he has the ability to mix it up. Again, I'm not quite sure what Klopp is doing exactly with Trent. It seems to be working. He got the goal. Um, but I mean, you said you thought the draw was a fair result, and I mean, on reflection, it probably is. But I also feel that City, even though I said Liverpool played poorly, I think City also played well below their level as well.
Yeah, I
especially
mean, especially towards the end of the game, I thought
right.
many of the City players ran out of steam and could have been, the team could have been freshened up with a few subs. But
I mean, Pep
I
didn't
mean,
make
Pep
any
really
subs
didn't
till
make
what,
any
like
changes.
what the 80 plus minutes. So if if we said if you said the City players ran out of steam, then Pep has to be the one to blame for that because you have all of 80 minutes to make those changes when you see players slowing down, or maybe he didn't feel that there was anybody on the bench that could come on and change the game at the time.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but I thought that was the difference in the game. I mean, the Liverpool subs, they were the ones who came on and really made the difference in the game. I mean, if you look at the likes of Diaz, for example, when he came on the left side, and of course Gakpo, he made that run which drew the defender and opened up the space for Trent to slot in, pretty much silencing the City crowd on that one. But Sir Cole, how did you see that matchup? I mean, Trent, big England international, oftentimes criticized for his defending. He seems to stand tall versus Doku.
Yeah, he did very well to have kept Doku quiet. But interestingly as well is that this is the second attacking return, you'll say, of Trent since the start of the season, and we are in match day 13. So it says a lot about what would have been used to from Trent over the years as opposed to what he's doing now. With respect to the game, it says a lot about the game where I think the two main talking points would have been one, the goal which was disallowed, and two, that little spot at the end between Nunes and Pep. I personally think it was very interesting, and it shows a bit of hunger on the part of Liverpool to have gotten it. It's such a um a verbal spot, a verbal debate with a manager of the level of Pep.
Interesting take there, So Cool. But question for you there, So Cool. Can Liverpool lift the title is the question. I mean, they're now sitting at the top or close to the top. Can Liverpool lift the title?
If at this point you are this close to the top, then it means that you are in contention and are worthy contenders for the title. As to whether they will pull it off, I probably don't think they will, but they are in a good position right now.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the next 4 games should tell the Liverpool aspirations, for what I would classify winnable games coming up for Liverpool. And I believe if they are able to win all 4 games, then they should be laying down a marker in that regard.
Interestingly, I read an article before the Luton game, where said that last season Liverpool away did not beat any of the newly promoted teams.
Mm.
Played Luton and did not beat Luton either. So they seem to have a difficulty against the newly promoted team. Team just play the low block and and don't really come out and attack. So even though we look at the games and we say they should be Liverpool wins, the results have shown that they are not so easy to call at all. And Liverpool does find it difficult to break out teams which do come out and attack them.
Yeah, which is really the reason I said those 4 games should determine where Liverpool go. If they are real title contenders or they're just, they're hovering around the top, but not necessarily getting their hands on any silverware. These are the games you need to win that is gonna propel you or push you, put pressure on other teams around you, when it comes to title aspirations. So to me, if they're able to get these 4 wins, then I can start looking at them as being serious title contenders. But right now, the jury is still out for me. What says you, Christophe? I mean, Arsenal sitting pretty right now at the top. Can Arsenal win the title this year, Christophe?
I think it's still too early to say. Arsenal's defensive record this season looks very good, excellent. I think it's at least conceded so far this season and most clean sheets. Looks good, but like I have been saying, you have to score goals to win games, and it took them very, very late to get a headed cross by Kai Havertz to go in. So if you want to win the title, continue with how you're defending. Defense looks relatively good to me. I won't say it's perfect as yet. I don't think it's perfect as yet, but for Arsenal right now, their issue is in attack. They looked more impressive when Trossard was playing as centre forward versus Jesus and Eniketia. The attack looked more fluid, more dynamic. Um, Not sure why Arteta switched from what was working. I get it that this your first choice striker is back, but if you found something that was working, why not continue until it's not working anymore?
Yeah, definitely an interesting take there. You seem unconvinced and not too confident there, Christoph, about this Arsenal attack. But just to go back slightly, it's speaking of attack, I mean, Sir Cole Haaland, the fastest striker in the EPL to 50 goals. I mean, we have to give credit where credit is due. Red hot striker, quality.
Not
I mean,
fastest, but the margin as well by which he's fastest.
right.
By 200 miles. I
And
mean,
what? He's just 23 years old. I mean, his best years are probably still ahead of him.
yeah, he really is a phenomenon. Different level attacker, altogether. I mean, man is just a beast. Put it that way. Very hard to stop. I don't know. As a defender, it must give you a nightmare before you play against him. What do you do as a manager? How do you put a plan together to stop him? I mean,
Tackle him hard.
Yeah, I think Rudiger, I believe last year Champions League versus Real Madrid, I believe Rudiger gave us the template, but I haven't seen a lot of teams utilizing that template, to be honest. Rudiger pretty much man-marked him in that game and
Saliba had
was
him in his back pocket.
quite effective, I must say. So I think that might very well be the template that other teams need to follow in terms of limiting his influence on games. But with City, so much quality around the field, you stop Haaland, then Doku scores. There's a Foden, there's a Bernardo Silva. So that
That
is
is
the
the problem.
difficulty with this team, Man City. You stop one player, but then other players pick up the slack around. So, but definitely quite an achievement, and best in the world circle currently. Or is there anyone out there who is better?
no, I think his numbers will any debate as to who the best in the world is right now as it relates to striker.
Jude Bellingham.
Well, yeah, I mean, no other striker has comparable numbers. So, I mean, that should go beyond saying that striker is, I mean, Haaland is the number one striker currently, globally, without question. The top man in the world. I mean, some would argue that he was robbed of the Ballon d'Or, but who better to rob him than the greatest of all time?
Questionable.
Lionel Messi. But we move. But Sir Cole, I mean, I'm seeing Garnacho scoring what some people are calling the best goal in the EPL. Manu on the rise, it seems.
Well, definitely top goal we have seen so far this season and probably in a few seasons as well. Really outstanding strike. As I told someone today, the one fault I find with the goal is that it wasn't a game-winning goal against Liverpool. But that aside, it was really perfect.
Well, I mean, it reminded me of that Rooney strike versus Man City.
Yes,
And I
they
believe
showed.
that was a game of higher consequence, so to speak.
Yes, it was. That game was in February of 2011. Man City and Man U were basically going head to head at that point to decide the league title.
Oh, was it that Aguero year by any chance?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Aguero year
okay.
was the next season.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but that was the last time Man U and Man City really went head to head, realistically, it seems. I mean,
Yes, since then it's just been mainly City. Man, you won 2013, but since then we've really been out of the reckoning.
Mm.
One second place finish, we were still a few points ahead still. So
Yeah, but I mean, Ten Hag seemed to have turned the corner and the sort of pressure he was under, I mean, a few weeks ago, seemed to have evaporated somewhat with a few good results. But we know football is fickle.
and
Back-to-back defeats could possibly turn the tide again.
and not just Man U, but the person at the center of the defense as well has turned a few opinions as well. Lord Maguire. Maguire is back.
Man U have definitely been keeping a few clean sheets,
Maguire is
and with
back.
the clean sheets, they've been getting some good results. So, I mean, credit must be given where credit is due. Big England international, Southgate not losing faith, and he seemed to have come back, whether by choice or
Definitely.
by injury, back into the reckoning under Ten Hag. Varane seemed to now be the fall guy and seem like he's on his way based on reports out of Manchester United in the January transfer window, seem to have fallen out of favor with the manager, it seems. I'm not sure what is taking place behind the scenes. Maybe Sir Cole, as a Man U fan, you can shed some light on that. What's
No,
going on?
no.
What's the latest with Varane?
I don't have any more info than you have on that one. What I can say though is that read the performance on Sunday. The youngster in the middle, Mainu, had a very good game, and I look forward to seeing some more of him.
Yes, indeed. But Christoph, any final thoughts on this weekend's action?
Um, not much. I think most of the matches went as expected. Very shocked by the Man U Everton result, to be honest. I thought Everton would have edged it 1-0. Um,
Well, speaking of Everton, I mean, now in the relegation zone after being stripped of points due to financial fair play, restrictions.
uh,
So we have to now keep a very close eye on Everton. They are now battling for their life yet again after now losing 10 points, which some may consider rather harsh.
it seems rather harsh because I don't know. Was it 100% confirmed that they breached FFP?
Yes, man, definitely 100% confirmed.
Okay, so
On one charge. I believe it was one charge, so they were found guilty on that charge, and as a result,
okay.
stripped of 10 points. So they're now in the relegation zone. So we have to definitely look at Everton as a potential relegation candidate.
Um, not fully, because so far from what we've seen from the promoted teams, they're not looking very good. Even though Everton lost the 10 points, we have seen where Everton has been playing pretty decently this season. So we expect them to make up back some of those points and climb out of the relegation zone. I think it's more the I don't know if the clubs will complain about it, but certainly the fans will complain about what appears to be maybe favoritism or something. Because Man City had what 152 FFP charges against them. I mean, not fully confirmed, unconfirmed, still under investigation, but nothing was done. So the fans will see it as I don't know, protecting the big clubs maybe.
Mm,
Um,
Possibly. But any final thoughts, Sir Cole?
We're approaching the festive season where the fixtures come thicker and faster. Just get my popcorn and put down my seatbelt and sit down to enjoy the intense battles taking place.
Yes, indeed. Definitely looking forward to it. And I mean, oftentimes they say the team leading going into Christmas oftentimes comes out as the victors on the other end. So the elephant is back at the top of the table. So we'll see how this one pans out. Can Arsenal hold on this year, or will the season come crumbling down again? We'll definitely have to watch the matches to see what's going on. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Continue to share, like, and if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. But Sir Cole, Christoph, just like to thank you guys again for coming on board and definitely sharing your views and, of course, your profound thoughts and comments as well. Thanks for passing through. But Until next time, this is Rafa signing off.